Hello and welcome back to the MMA Split Pick Show ahead of a massive pay-per-view card, particularly for the British fans, as we have got a challenger at last. 4 years since Darren Till, only the third welterweight from England to fight for the championship. I believe only the fourth Englishman to ever fight for a world championship. Leon Edwards versus the dominant champ, if not the pound for pound, second on the pound for pound list as best fighter in the world in mixed martial arts, on his way to being one of the scariest, most dominant fighters of all time. This is a cracking fight on a card that is extremely top heavy for a pay per view. We have still got picks for everything, but we are mainly going to be discussing our boy, our countryman, going for gold in the main event. My God, has he had to wait a long time for this one. He has had to wait a long time for any fights. He's had 6 fight cancellations since COVID began, more than any other fighter. He has been given the runaround that it is his moment. He's got a hell of a fucking mountain to climb, because not only is it a title shot against one of the scariest people there is, it's a rematch. And it's a fight that he lost the first time round. We're going to be discussing all of that. I'm here, as always, with my producer, Josh. I'm, of course, your host, Matt. And as is becoming the trend, we are minus Sly, who has sent us his picks. So he will still be included.
Has he really? I haven't seen
he
that.
sent them.
Oh, good God. I
He sent
haven't
them.
seen these yet.
He sent them. Even though he's not been on the show for a while, he's still been winning the pick show for the last couple of weeks, which sucks. He won it last week, which really sucks. So there's only 2 weeks left to go in our little tournament in our season. Currently, I am a point and a half behind Josh, who's in the lead, but Sly is a point ahead of me and just half a point behind Josh. So I basically need to win out if I want to win this season, and probably need to win out to not come in last place. So plenty of stakes on the table. And with all of that out of the way, we will remind you, please to like the video if you are enjoying the content. Feel free to leave a comment, even if it's negative. All feedback is appreciated. And subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Josh, with that all out of the way, first question before we do the picks. What is your excitement level going into this card? I know it's top heavy. I know it gets a little bit weaker down the other bases, but we've got an English title challenger, man. That's got to get you buzzed.
Yeah, it's at an 11, just for the main event, to be honest. Excuse me. Hay fever strikes. It's been a cruel summer. Yeah, I'm at an 11, but really, there's only, I'd say.
This is a 3-fight card.
I was gonna go 4. I'm excited. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go 5 because there's a fight on the prelims that's gonna be absolute dynamite. I am, of course, talking about Flash Gordon against Leonardo Santos.
That would be a good fight.
It's not a deep card. I think you get a sense of that when the cards around the pay-per-view aren't very deep, because they would like to have kind of backup cover for anyone pulling out on the pay-per-view, the opportunity to move a big fight from a fight night to a pay-per-view. We knew this one wasn't going to go run too deep.
It's also
Doesn't
August.
matter, though. So, was that?
It's August. They've had some big fights on in the summer. They've got a big catalogue coming from 280 onwards, going through to the rest of the year. I think this pay-per-view and certainly the next pay-per-view are the ones where they're really selling them on the main event.
Yeah, traditionally August was never a big fight month. They kind of bucked the trend for a few years a while back, but kind of slipping back into it now. Doesn't matter though. I'm very, very, very excited for this main event. First off, what's Sly picking?
Well, first off, just to talk about the road to get there for Leon, he's been messed around a lot, and the biggest disadvantage I think he's got coming into this is that he's not fought in a longer amount. He hasn't fought for I think 13 months. Before that, it was 6 months, and that was just a 2-round no contest. Before that, he had to wait a year and a half. So he's not been as active as you would want. That's a really big disadvantage, because I don't know how fresh he's going to be coming into this. That being said, in terms of my own opinion, I think he has every skill necessary to win this fight. I think his striking is elite. I think his wrestling is elite. I think his jiu-jitsu is elite. I think he's faster. He's definitely not as powerful. And the fact that Nate Diaz wobbled him, that makes me a little bit worried. But I think he was coasting in that fight. And I think he's going to be switched on for this one. I think Rocky wins. I think Usman's getting older. I think he's getting slower. I don't think he's as good of a striker as he thinks he is. And I think Rocky's aware of that. I think he's going to be very conscious of that. He's going to be minding his P's and Q's. And obviously, he has to think about the takedown threat. But I think he's going to win by submission. I think he's going to outstrike Usman. He's going to force Usman to become a wrestler again. And he's going to catch him something on the ground.
All right, what's Sly saying?
Sly is agreeing most likely with you, judging from how you've reacted to that, which is that Kamaru Usman's going to knock him out.
I was the first to put my picks in. I'm not going with Usman KO though. Look, Rocky's had a lot of time out, and every time he's come back, he's looks so much improved. Albeit he did have that kind of lapse moment against Nate, so I think it's kind of just a sense of sort of wasted potential. How good could it be if he had been active? Obviously, it's not his fault, but he said it's the right time to fight Usman, and I agree to an extent. But I think maybe one or two fights after this would be the perfect time to fight Usman. I think Usman has enough left in the tank that he's going to be able to out wrestle him for 3 or 5 rounds at least. I think Usman decision. I don't think Usman's going to be able to get away with landing anything too heavy on Rocky because he's too fast and he is powerful and he's going to drop rounds that way. He's going to get outstruck quite badly, but only in the moments that he allows Rocky to control. As soon as he can get him up against the cage, as soon as he can get him down, he's going to get at least 3 rounds. I think Usman decision. I hope I'm wrong. I want Rocky to win, Yeah, Usman is slowing down. I don't think he's slowed down enough yet, though. I don't think this is the right time for Rocky to fight him.
I recommend all of our listeners to rewatch the second fight between Usman and Covington. For 2 rounds, Usman was untouchable. After that, he slowed down and Covington landed a lot. I honestly think you could call that fight a draw because I think you should have given the second round 10-8 to Usman. But that's the only time since the first time he fought Covington he's had to go 5 rounds. I know he did it, pardon me, against Masvidal the first time, but he really just held him against a cage, and that wasn't a fresh Masvidal. It wasn't the same level of energy expenditure. Leon is 30 years old. He is ready. He is fit. He is not coming off injuries. He's been training his ass off. I think Usman is cocky. I think he's fallen in love with his hands, and I don't think he's got the energy to wrestle for 5 rounds anymore. I think this is that perfect storm where Leon's going to rock up, take the belt, put on a performance not that dissimilar from what Usman did to Tyron Woodley. Different way, different skills, but that nobody's expecting it. Everyone's expecting this to be a mandatory defense before the next big thing, and Leon shows them what's what.
Oh, I think it's a pretty close fight. I think a lot of people recognise that this is a close fight. I don't know where the betting line's at, but
I would imagine Leon's a big underdog.
I think he's going to be a small underdog. I think people respect what he can do and the risk he poses, but Usman didn't fall off the face of a cliff, and even in his steady decline, I think he's going to get the job done. And I think stylistically for Usman, Covington was more of a problem, and I think Covington is a better fighter than Rocky, and I think Covington would beat Rocky most likely. So even though Usman did struggle more against Colby in that rematch, I don't think it really matters too much as it pertains to this one. I think Usman's still just going to be able to take it to where he's at his best, and Rocky's effectively at his weakest. Although it's not like a weak area for him these days. He is so much improved. This is fucking Usman though.
I know you can't do MMA math, but all 3 of the guys we've just talked about, they've all fought RDA. And without question, the guy that beat RDA and just didn't even there wasn't even a sniff, not even a sniff of an opportunity. Was Neil. I know Usman beat him bad as well, but against Covington, RDA was having his moments. The reason I bring this up is
it's also chronological order, though, isn't it? And it's an aging RDA. It's not a young peak RDA.
I'm back in Rocky. I think he can get it done, and I need a win on the pick show, and this is going to be one of the ones I knew would be different to you guys. So I get to be patriotic. You can all burn your... Well, I mean, it's not patriotic. He's from bloody Belgium, but he's half English. It's going to be a great main event. What should it be an interesting co-main event, if it happens, and I say if it happens, is Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold, because we've had this fight booked a couple of times, and it hasn't happened yet. Both guys are not great at making weight. Both guys are not great with injuries. And in terms of trying to predict it, it's a who the fuck knows one. Paulo Costa has looked fucking terrible for many outside of the cage reasons in his last two fights. We haven't seen Luke Rockhold for 3 years. He hasn't won for 5 years. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm going with the younger guy who's, not had to have his knee completely ripped out and sewn back together and, has openly admitted to getting caught up in the party lifestyle, and who's also has people who train at the same gym as him saying that their coach is complaining about him not giving 100% effort. Costa looks thin. That makes me less concerned about the weight cut. I think it's a Costa KO. Bang the table a lot.
Yeah, I mean, even if Costa was to miss weight so bad, and Luke still took the fight, there's no situation, no possible permutation of possibilities with this fight where Costa doesn't knock out Rockhold. Rockhold has no chin. Rockhold has low hands. Rockhold has no knee. Just none of it really suggests that you should be fighting Paulo Costa. Now watch me eat my hat next week when Rockhold submits him in the first round. But honestly, it's just not going to happen. Okay, Costa KO.
That's the one factor. That is the one factor.
Costa's stronger, faster, can sprawl better, is probably as good at grappling as Rockhold. It's just we haven't seen it in a big MMA organization. I just.
Well, I mean, we're all agreed
slips on a bottle of wine on the way into the octagon, falls into a fucking DAS. I don't know. I just don't see it.
Well, we're all predicting Costa to win by KO, so I think I feel fairly confident, but you never know. It is the carpool. The fight that I'm very excited about, though, is Jose Aldo taking on Merab Dashvili, which, I'll be honest, when I first saw books, I thought, oh man, they're screwing Jose Aldo. And to be honest, the more I thought about it, I'm like, this is a guy that nobody could take down at featherweight. I don't know if this is... I think this is actually a really good stylistic matchup for Aldo.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone back and forth. This is a very close fight in my mind. It's just... Either Big Dash Willie can get it done, or he can't get it done. I'm willing to bet that he's able to get it done in 2 or 3 rounds, if not all 3. I think Merab gets a decision here. I think his persistent, belligerent takedown approach is just going to pay dividends. Jose Aldo is not a young man anymore, and he's still fucking dangerous. It's not a foregone conclusion either way. But either Merab can get the takedowns and he gets the decision, or Aldo eats him alive on the feet and takes the decision.
Well, I'm going for the latter because Jose Aldo, people don't give him this kind of credit. At bantamweight, he's gigantic. He is gigantic for the weight class. He was so much bigger than Rob Font, who I consider tall for the weight class, but Aldo was just bigger. And Merab, yeah, he's a little fucking stacked powerhouse wrestler. I don't think he's going to bring anything that Aldo hasn't dealt with before. He's so good defensively, Aldo. He's such a master at being able to strike against people, even though he's got to consider the takedown. And he's always been able to land his shots. For me, this is Aldo decision. Sly has gone a bit further. He's going for an Aldo KO.
Alright, Amurab decision. I think I already said it.
Yeah. Card gets a little bit weaker here, but I'm really excited for this fight as well. Marcin Tybura taking on the undefeated Alexander Romanov. It's got to be Romanov all day, hasn't it? Particularly new Romanov.
Yeah, honestly, I was just trying to pick how he was going to win. I think KO. It could be a sub. Tybura was good enough to force a decision out of him. This will be a fun fight. It might not be the most exciting fight, but when you just consider how good Tybura is and how much of a fucking hype prospect Romanov is, you know, this could be in a fucking 30 for 30 someday. You don't know.
It's a good fight. I'm going sub for Romanov. Sly's going sub for Romanov. I believe you went KO.
Yup.
This takes us to Tyson Pedro. He's back. It's nice to have him back. He's already been back before, and it was a very good performance. He's taking on a Harry Hunsucker that is down at light heavyweight now.
Yeah, he's got something against fighting legit 205ers, but I like it, and I'll roll with it. From Ike Villanueva to Harry Hunsucker, how very dare you?
Well, I think this is going to be a good day for Pedro. I'm predicting him to win. I have predicted a win by KO. Sly has gone for sub.
What's
your pick, Josh? Okay, very similar there. Right, that takes us to the prelims of this card, as I bring them back up on my phone. And headlined by the fight that you talked about being very excited about, Leonardo Santos. My God, this guy is old, but he's still going and still dangerous, taking on Jared Flash Gordon. Lead us away first on this one, Josh.
Fucking Leonardo Santos was on the win streak of all win streaks, albeit he was getting such bad injuries, he had all these layoffs, that no one really knew who he fucking was. Was the first loss to KGD? Yep. And then just completely tanked, trying to knock out an on the night unknockable Clay Guida before getting tapped. Just fucking brutal, but make no bones about it. This guy is an elite fucking talent. Freakishly tall, 6'1", freakishly old, 42 or some shit. He can strike, he can grapple. It's just a shame he's been derailed by injuries, and he's old as fuck, and he's on the first losing streak of his career. And that all being said, it's not easy to pick against them. Really hasn't been easy to pick against them. I'm going Jared Flash Gordon. It's just wrestler against long grappler can end in submission, and takedown game versus long striker can end in knockout. And Leonardo Santos is so fucking smart, so crafty, so talented. God, I kind of want to just move into the country, settle down with him, get a cottage and that, I guess. But you know what I'm saying? He's pretty fucking good. It's just I think Gordon's just going to take him down, keep him down, and that's that.
For me, it's an energy thing. I think Santos is going to look really good for like a round, maybe a round and a half. But there's going to be a moment where the energy he's being forced to use by Gordon, who is going to pressure him, will start to pay off. And he's not going to be able to fight at his own pace. If you're 42, you need to be able to fight at your own pace. That's what I want. That's how you win fights. That's why Arlovsky is still doing this thing. It's hard at lightweight, man. I'm going Gordon KO, but I don't think it will be like a knockout KO. I think it will just be third round. He's worn him down, and eventually he just hasn't got anything left. Sly, I think, is also going Gordon KO. I think you have gone
decision.
Nice.
I think Gordon's going to respect the danger and a little more lay and pray, position over submission or anything else.
That's fair enough. Next fight down, Yanan Wu at bantamweight taking on Lucy Pudilova. I will be honest, I've gone Yanan Wu because I don't know a lot about Lucy Pudilova, so I've gone Wu by decision.
She was in the UFC previously, but she went like 2-5. But yeah, fuck it. I'm going with Pudilova. You know, sometimes you bounce back strong. I don't really want to pick either of them, if I'm honest. I went back and forth one more time. And then I realised I couldn't not pick, so I picked Pudilova because her name was first.
Yemen was Slice selection by decision. Which takes us down to
That better not
really
be
exciting.
before I lose this fucking week.
Who knows? We'll see if it is. Next fight up, really talented featherweight prospect Sean Woodson. Amazing boxing this guy has. I mean, he's got I think a really good amateur boxing record. He's taking on Luis Saldana. I can't look past Sean Woodson because once he gets those hands going, he's got this weird body type, extremely long arms,
The slender man.
He fights so well for his body type, and he rips in those body shots with those looping long arms cutting through. He's had some issues. Who tapped him?
Don't make me look it up. I'll bring it up.
Oh, what was it? Vince Pichel? Did Vince Pichel tap him?
I don't think it was Pichel. Let me check it out. But Slender Man would be a great nickname for him, but the sniper is perfect. It was Juicy J. Erosa got that Darce choke in. Happens.
That was the fight that Sean Woodson was winning every second of. The guy, he just needed to work on some of his holes. He seems to do that. It's Woodson all day for me. What did I say method-wise? I think I went knockout, but I know I went decision. So just like
Carpool. Yeah, Woodson by decision.
Nice. Right, that just leaves us with the early prelims. We're just going to go straight, just say what your pick is. AJ Fletcher versus Angalusa. You pick, Josh?
Fletcher decision.
I have gone for Fletcher by KO. Sly has gone for... You didn't send them to the right group, so I've got to jump across. It's really annoying. He's gone for Lusa KO. Next fight up, we have got Amir Albazi taking on Little Figgy, Francisco Figueiredo. Josh, you pick?
Albazi by sub.
Josh has gone for Sly has gone for Figueiredo by sub, and I have gone for Albazi by decision. Richie Lang taking on Jay Perrin. What is your pick, Josh?
Richie Lang decision.
I've gone a Richie Lang KO, and Sly has also gone a Richie Lang decision. And first fight on the night, kicking the whole event off, Daniel Da Silva taking on Victor Altamirano. What is your pick, Josh?
Go with the younger man, Da Silva by decision.
Sly is going to Silva by sub. I've gone for the older man, Altamirano, by KO.
Nice, we've got more variety this week.
A lot more variety. I don't like it when it's just all boiling down to one fight deciding the whole motherfucker.
Yeah, especially when Sly wins that. That's
always
painful.
Especially when he wins back in some of the fighters that we really like. It's just like an added kick in the balls. But not this week. I'm hoping that backing Rocky pays me off. Guys, that's our picks. Guys, that's the pick show. We all hope that you massively enjoy the card. It's going to be a great one for English fans, even if you have to stay up. Another reminder, please do like the video, leave a comment, leave your own picks if you want to feel a little bit involved as well. If you leave a pick for every single fight and you beat us, we'll give you a shout out on the podcast next week. And as always, enjoy the fights. Bye Dave, bye Laurie, bye Trifa.
Bye Laurie, bye Dave.